Round 3 of the 2021 FIA Formula 1 World Championship brings us to Portugal and to Portimao, a circuit we raced at last year. We've never raced here before in Formula 1 history. The last time we raced in Portugal before 2020 was back in the 1980s/1990s. Senna took his first win here, and it's a track that last year that served us a really, really good race. A wet, dry, and a bit more wet, mainly dry race with... Who took the win in that race? Was it Hamilton, Dylan? Do you remember?
Yeah, I believe it was Hamilton.
He won most things then, didn't he?
Was that when he got his win record, or was that just before?
I think that was when he got his win record. I think you're right there. Yeah. So it was a good race this time, last time out, and we're hoping for that to happen again. I mean, the signs are there. It's a really good track to drive. I mean, Dylan, you've driven it in some sims, and it is fun, isn't it? It's up and down, side to side, like a roller coaster, to quote Lando Norris. It's good fun, isn't it?
Yes, it's a very hilly track, and throttle management is key around here. As I discovered, you got to be very gentle with the throttle, as it's quite easy to lose the rear end and spin out. It's quite a hard track with all the hills around. It's a bit too hilly for my liking. I prefer a flatter track, so it's quite stop-start as well, so there's not too many straights you can see on the track map.
Yeah, it's not that good for overtaking. I mean, it's not good for overtaking in terms of DRS zones. I mean, there were some great battles. I think Perez versus Ocon last year, if my memory serves me correctly, had a great 5/6 corner battle, basically a whole lap side by side. They've added another DRS zone on the, I suppose you call it the back straight, quite a small straight, because there was a lot of criticism of there being quite a lack of DRS this time last year. They have also given us the softest tyres, C1, C2 and C3, if you know what that means. It's the Pirelli technical terms. But the softest tyres have been given for soft, medium and hard, which should make tyre management rather interesting for this race that is looking like it might be another of what is looking to be a very, very good F1 season in 2021. I mean, we've had Mercedes versus Red Bull, a ding-dong battle for the last two races, and... do you think we'll see Mercedes versus Red Bull round 3, Hamilton versus Verstappen, Dylan?
I think it'll definitely be between Hamilton and Verstappen, as the second drivers for both teams are lacking a bit. So I think it would probably be Verstappen winning, because he seems to be in the better car this year. But I reckon we'll still have a nice battle like we did at Imola last time.
Yeah, I think we could definitely have a good battle. Maybe a Verstappen into turn 1 if Hamilton gets pole. But Mercedes and Red Bull, they are quite well-matched teams. Mercedes have quite good race pace, although their car, in my opinion, is not as quick, especially over one lap, as that Red Bull. That's just the way it is this season. But they seem to be able to keep up with Red Bull. It's neck and neck in the drivers, basically. I think Hamilton is 1 point ahead. So it's all to play for at this stage. And this is recorded on Friday evening. We've seen the results from practice 1 and 2. And it doesn't look that Bottas or Hamilton or one of the Red Bulls are especially far ahead. It looks quite close, doesn't it, Dylan?
Yeah, they've been jogging around a bit. Verstappen hasn't been at the top though yet, so he might get it in practice 3 tomorrow. But I believe he was second in both sessions, and it was Bottas and Hamilton were at the top, with Bottas at the top for practice 1 and Hamilton at the top for practice 2.
Yeah.
So they both look quite quick.
Yeah, they both look really, really good, actually. They're really, really well matched, as I said. And Red Bull are certainly bringing the fight to Mercedes in other areas. They've stolen one of the Mercedes staff members. I can't remember his name, but he has worked for Mercedes high-performance powertrains for the last 20 years. That's their engines department. And Red Bull have recruited him. I think he's starting, I presume, next year. But that's interesting. Red Bull are now making engines in-house from next year after Honda leave the sport. So, and Mercedes have very, very good engines. So maybe we can see Red Bull get ahead in the engine side of things. And along with that, we've also got Norris and McLaren. Norris has had an incredible start to the season, haven't he, Dylan? I mean...
He's had a very good start with getting his first podium of the season last race in Imola, just getting P3 after a bit of a disappointing qualifying after he abused the track limits. and he also had a very strong start in Bahrain as well. I can't remember where he finished, but he's definitely doing very well this year compared to what he did last year. Although he was still quite good last year, but I think he'll do a lot better this year.
Yeah, he's been solid ever since 2019, and he looks very comfortable in that McLaren. He was doing okay in practice today, but the McLarens have never seemed, even when they've got like surprise podiums, have never seemed that quick in practice. So I don't know. I think he was like 8th and 12th in practice 1 and 2. Nothing special really, but he certainly seems to have had a strong start to the season, and a lot better one than that of Daniel Ricciardo. He's been in F1 for 10 years now, 7 race wins, and Norris is thoroughly beating him at the moment. Won't be pleasing for Ricciardo. No driver likes to be beaten by a younger teammate, a less experienced one. But that is what's happening to Ricciardo at the moment. And another battle down the field is a battle between two drivers you may not have expected to be battling on the track this season. That is Bottas and Russell, one in a Mercedes, one in a Williams. They crashed heavily at Imola last time, didn't they, Dylan? It was a big impact. I don't know how many Gs it would be, but I reckon it'll be north of 5G, 10G. It was a heavy impact. And this is a debate that's been going on between Dylan and I for nearly 2 weeks now. Whose fault was it, Dylan?
I think it was definitely Russell's fault. If you looked at Julian Palmer's analysis, if I said that
analysis.
right,
You always struggle with that.
I can't say it. You can see that Bottas, he did squeeze Russell, but he did leave him enough room. I think it was about car width for Russell to fit, so he could have fitted down there, but Russell's a bit too aggressive and just steered to the right, hitting the grass and smashing into Bottas. But again, this happened with Hamilton and Sainz, but instead of Hamilton committing to trying to go around the outside, he backed out. He knew it'd probably be too risky, so I think Russell definitely should have done that.
Yeah, I can see that Russell is.
Should have gone.
I don't think he's at fault. You get a very convincing argument there, Dylan. But Bottas was he was racing a Williams, which let's face it, that shouldn't be happening with the Mercedes and Williams pace retrospectively this year. But the way that Bottas moved so late, and it was wet, and they were racing side by side at a very fast section of the track, I think it just spooked Russell, and I don't think it was especially anyone's fault, but I'm leaning more towards Bottas just because he did spook Russell. I think he
That's not his fault though. He got spooked. It's Russell's fault for being spooked. He just moved over slightly to the right. Yeah, Russell is to blame. He's the one that got spooked.
The last 2 weeks between Dylan and I now.
Bottas shouldn't be blamed because it's not his fault. Russell got spooked by his car moving slightly to the right.
Anyway, moving on. We can make a whole episode about was it Russell's fault or was it Bottas's fault? But we have to predict some things. So let's move on to predictions. First off, in qualifying, I predict Verstappen will get pole. He hasn't got pole since the opening race 2 races ago, but I think he will. Hamilton close behind in P2, and I think Perez, he had a strong qualifying in Imola. He beat Verstappen. He was P2, he was on the front row, and I think he's going to be able to get P3. What do you think, Dylan?
I think Hamilton will be able to get pole position. He's the Mercedes, seems to be quite quick around here. As I said already, both of them having a go at reaching the top spot in the practice sessions. Verstappen, I think, will still be very quick on the pace, beating his teammate Perez to second. But again, Perez may have an opportunity to get second, as he proved the last time with getting a very good qualifying in Imola. So I reckon he has a really good pace in the car this year to try and get the second.
Yeah, I think that either of them in those second cars could do well this season. But that is certainly a very possible qualifying outcome. I mean, it's not much different to mine, really. And we both seem to think that Perez is justifying his place at Red Bull. And I think he is. He's been doing well. He had an unlucky race at Imola, and he had problems in Bahrain. But, okay, Imola was more of his fault. Bahrain, he had a very good recovery drive. But I think he's doing enough at the moment to prove to Red Bull, yeah, they made the right decision. And moving on to race predictions, I think Verstappen is going to convert his pole into a win. The first time he's done that since Abu Dhabi 2020. If that goes ahead, I think Perez is going to jump Hamilton and get P2. And I think that Norris, continuing with that strong form that we were talking about earlier in the episode, is going to get P3. And neither of the Mercedes drivers will be on the podium. I don't know when the last time that was. Germany 2019 springs to mind. I don't know the last time when that was, but if that happens, that would be an unusual podium. What do you think, Dylan?
I think Hamilton will be able to convert his pole into a win, as he has been doing pretty well after nearly crashing himself out in Imola last time. And he had a very good recovery drive to come back into second, so I think he will be good enough to be able to take the win. I think Perez will be able to knock off Verstappen and take P2, his first podium since Bahrain last year. And then I think Bottas will be able to get third, as his Mercedes seems to be quite quick as well around here.
Yep, that is also a very possible outcome. What we'll have to see on Sunday, of course. That is when the race, I think it's sometime in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, I think. I think Portugal are quite similar in terms of time zone to the UK. They might even be on the same time zone. I don't know. But it's sometime in the afternoon on Sunday, and we will cover it this time. We didn't cover Imola last time for various reasons, but a lot of exciting things happened off air. Lots of things we've spoken about. And one more thing, actually, was the announcement that the F1 format is going to be changing for 3 races as a trial this year. They haven't announced which races, but what they're going to do is introduce something called sprint qualifying. So we'll have practice on Friday morning, and then normal Q1, Q2, Q3 qualifying, and then practice 2 on Saturday morning, and then a short, it's about 30 minutes, isn't it, Dylan?
100-kilometre race, yeah. So yeah, it's about a third of a normal race.
About a 30-minute race to decide the grid for Sunday's race. There'll be points awarded for the top 3 only, like 3, 2, and 1. And the grid for that sprint race will have been decided by qualifying the previous day. It looks to be an exciting format. What do you think of it, Dylan?
I think it could work, but I'm not a fan of it, as they seem to be changing the qualifying format quite a lot recently in the previous years. But I just think they should stay with the normal one, as it seems to be working quite well.
Yeah, I can see the current one has certainly brought plenty of drama and excitement, but Friday at the moment is a bit boring. I mean, it's just practice. So to spice it up a little and to make that race weekend just feel a lot more exciting from Friday all the way through to Sunday could make it more interesting. And who doesn't want to see more racing? I mean, I'd certainly like to see more racing in a sprint race style where they're just on the softs or the mediums. I don't know what. I think they can choose what tyres they run. But I think that could certainly be exciting to see. We don't know what tracks it's going to be at, but we'll be covering that if and when, well, we know it's going to, when it comes around. But for now, thank you very much.
I have one more thing.
Pardon?
We have one more thing as well. Recently, it's been announced that Canada is going to be being replaced by Turkey as well. So no more Canada this year, it'll be Turkey instead.
Ah, yes, I forgot about that. Yes, that's right. Due to COVID, Canada got lots of COVID restrictions, so they can't do it without isolating. So they've just swapped it with Turkey. Turkey's a good track. We enjoyed the race there last year. Hamilton won his 7th title. So I think that could be a very, very good race indeed. But that's all we have time for now. We'll see you after the race on Sunday/Monday. But for now, I've been Ed.
And I've been Dylan. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.